Running back position, Austin Eckler is penciled in as your running back one. And I don't know why this is such a surprise to everyone.
Shout out to Juan Gotti talking sports. You know what it is.
Shout out Juan Gotti talking sports.
The way that we live is not for everybody.
Nah, that ain't it, y'all.
How do you think the rest of Jaden Daniels' career is going to go? If we're, 6, 7 games into Jaden Daniels' career and he's already milking injuries? Like,
stop saying my name, you dick riding bastard. I love the way she move it, shake it on me. When she cry for him, and Shawty is the winner. You can tell that Shawty love again now, she's confident.
Week 1 is here, y'all. And tonight I'm going live on the channel behind enemy lines with the New York Giants YouTuber, Commanders fans, Gotti gang. I need y'all to show up and show out tonight at 8 p.m. Y'all got me? Alright, cool. Now let's talk about this Washington Commanders depth chart headed into week 1. It's very interesting. Okay, cool. So shout out to John Keim, of course, on Twitter, one of the Washington Commanders' best beat reporters out there. He has the roster for us in the depth chart. So coming in with the offense, starting at the top of the list, you got wide receiver Terry McLaurin as your X-receiver. Duh, nobody is surprised by that one whatsoever. But who's backing him up is the surprise, as it's Luke McCaffrey being his backup replacement. So he's the backup X receiver, which is a little bit interesting as you think of Luke McCaffrey as more of an inside slot receiver underneath kind of guy. But if something was to happen to 1-7, God forbid, knock on wood there, Luke McCaffrey would be your guy that assumes that role. But then you go down to the other wide receiver position, as we're just going to go position by position, as Noah Brown is your wide receiver too. But look who's behind them as well. It's Luke McCaffrey. So what does that say to you all out there? That says we need another freaking wide receiver, because by default Luke McCaffrey has to be the backup boundary receivers. If something was to happen to one or two of our starting boundary receivers in Terry McLaurin or Noah Brown, he would be your guy to assume that role. And I'm just going to be completely honest with you, that's not pretty at all. Looking at this depth chart, it kind of made me realize maybe we don't have true size, or we don't have a true backup X receiver, and that's not something that I am new to. That's why I wanted to keep a Michael Gallup around, and I know he didn't end up working out and he didn't end up making the team, but I just thought maybe based off of his veteran presence and the need of having another guy that can have some size, have some boundary experience, that could bode well. But it's less of Luke McCaffrey having to step in and more of us keeping 5 receivers and having Luke McCaffrey be the backup for both boundary wide receiver positions. And of course, we know we got Kendrick Bourne here on a meeting, and I think at some point he will sign a contract by the Washington Commanders and he'll end up being the 6th receiver. But that's just food for thought. Again, if something happens to either of our boundary receivers, Luke McCaffrey's the first person that you call off the bench. That's why, again, you maybe should have kept Michael Gallup. Maybe you should have signed another receiver in free agency, i.e. a Keenan Allen. Maybe, even though he is a slot guy, he's a guy that's a beast all over the field. Or maybe you would have taken a chance on a young fella like a Ja'Cory Brooks just to have that extra cushion on the roster, and Luke McCaffrey doesn't have to just assume 2 roles. But then going down to your other wide receiver position, it's obviously Deebo Samuel, and backing him up is none other than Jalen Lane. And you're starting 3 receivers. Again, that is not a surprise. Deebo Samuel, Terry McLaurin, nothing out of the ordinary there. This is what we expected. These 3 are your star receivers. And yes, I'm putting star by the name of Noah Brown, as I think I'm the biggest Noah Brown fan in this fan base. I think a healthy Noah Brown is very serviceable wide receiver 3 in this league, and I think he's going to show you that this season. Please, Fatherly heavens, wrap your hands around this whole receiving core, especially grip your hands tight around the body of Noah Brown in terms of keeping him healthy, because we know he needs it. Going down to the offensive line, this is the question mark, though. You have left tackle Laramie Tunsil. Of course, that is the bookend tackle. You traded for him. He's your starting guy. That's not the question mark there. You got George Fenton backing him up. I think George Fenton is a solid, serviceable vet guy if he needs to step in and take some snaps. But I think he's your first guy out once Sam Cosmi is cleared to ready to go. But then you go down to left guard. Brandon Coleman, your starting left guard. That's not a surprise. That's what we thought was going to be the case. Throughout the whole summer, he's been thought of to be the starter, and he quite frankly earned it. Even though he did have a camp where he was pretty much banged up, he still is that guy. And backing him up is Chris Paul, and Chris Paul even was stellar in the preseason as well. But that's not where your question lies. Your question starts to lie, if we're being honest, when you get to the center position in terms of the backup. Because you have Tyler Biadasz as your starting center. Of course, we know Tyler Biadasz is the dog. He deserves to be the starter here. But then you look at that backup. Your backup center is Nick Algreedy. And although Nick Algreedy has some center experience, he's more of a guard. And I think this just speaks to the value of how poorly they think of Michael Dieter, to the fact that you didn't keep a backup primary center. And you remember we came from a regime where it was Chase Roulier. It was my guy Tyler Larson, who always stepped in and did not miss a beat. You know what I'm saying? Even back in the day, Corey Littnesteiger. Who remember Corey Littnesteiger, bruh? Like, we've always had great centers, in my opinion, or at least good centers, I should say. And we got another damn good one. But again, it's the trenches. You never know what can happen. And I don't know how I feel about Nick Algreedy stepping in and having to assume the center role if something happens to him. Because at the end of the day, Nick Algreedy, look at the right guard position. He's penciled in as your starter. Now, again, it may be Nick Algreedy or Andrew Wiley, as you see the asterisks here. And I think they may be leaning more towards Andrew Wiley for the simple fact that Nick Algreedy has the value to play at both guard and center. So it's probably smarter to go with Andrew Wiley as your right guard rather. And you can kind of keep Nick Algreedy around so he can assume the depth at both positions. All in all, I'm very confident about this offensive line group, but if there was a concern that I did have, it would definitely be Nick Algreedy being the backup center. And again, not that he can't do it, it's just he's too valuable to this team. As you see, or when it comes to starting right guard at this point, as he's one of our best all-around offensive linemen. Then you go down to the big one, Josh Carnley Jr. How about that? The young fella, not a surprise whatsoever, but the young fella earned the right tackle position start. As we know, whether you're drafted in the first round, second round, third round, you're not guaranteed a spot at all on this roster, let alone a starting spot, which means going back to last year with JD5, even though he was the number 2 overall pick, they made him earn the starting position at the quarterback position. That's the same thing they did with Josh Carnley Jr., and the young fella went out there and earned it. And I'm super excited to see what he does this year, especially in this game. I don't know how often he's going to be lined up against Abdul Carter, but I'm excited to see how those two young fellas battle against each other, as they did do in college in the championship game. Then you go down to the tight end position. Your starting tight end, Zach Ertz. After that, it follows John Bates. Then it goes Ben Sinnott and Kosin Yankoff again. Not a surprise whatsoever. And quickly going back to right tackle, you got Trent Scott, my guy. Trent Scott, our guy. Trent Scott. He's the backup to Josh Carnley Jr., and I'm so glad he made this roster. He deserves to make this roster. He is such a valuable asset to this team. Think of him as the new, dare I say, Cornelius Lucas. Think of Trent Scott as such. But the tight end position, Zach Ertz, your clear starter. Even at the older age that he's at, he's your clear starter. But who I'm even more excited about, honestly, is John Bates and Kosin Yankoff. I don't know how many opportunities Kosin Yankoff is going to get. And this isn't to take any shots at Ben Sinnott. I'm still high on him and still excited for his year too. But I don't know how many opportunities Kosin Yankoff is going to get this upcoming regular season. But I have a gut feeling that he's going to take a lot of advantages of his opportunities that he gets. Whether it's blocking, whether it's, pass catching, whatever may have you. Kosin Yankoff is going to take full advantage of his opportunities, and don't be surprised if we get 2 years down the line and he's the guy that actually leapfrogs Ben Sinnott, and he's your second tight end alongside John Bates. And speaking of John Bates, how about this guy? He is a blocking machine. You seen how he cleaned that block in the preseason for the ultimate score of Ja'Cory Merritt. He is such an outstanding blocker, and they talked about him, raving about him, as he's an extended version of the offensive line, but not just that anymore, as he's going to be utilized in the passing game. And I'm telling you, if John Bates unlocks ability to be a threat offensively as a pass catcher, oh man, the league done messed up. They need to watch out, because right now that is what hinders him. Anytime John Bates has the ball in his hands, it's not that he can't catch, it's what he does after the catch, which is either nothing or he turns the ball over. So if he can just add an ability to have some type of yak, John Bates can be damn good. He can be damn good as an all-around overall tight end, as he did get paid this offseason. So again, not a surprise there. And then the young fella Ben Sinnott is in third, and he's going to continue to develop, and hopefully we find out a lot about him this upcoming year. Moving down to the quarterback position. Come on, Jaden Daniels, your obvious starter. Your backup, obvious, Marcus Mariota. And then your third quarterback, emergency quarterback, Josh Johnson, which I'm not confident in whatsoever. So hopefully we don't have to see the field with Josh Johnson unless it's a blowout and they don't want to risk Mariota going out there to play. You know, other than that, JD5, please stay healthy. We need you. I need you all season long. MVP 5 season, right? Not a sophomore slump, but a sophomore jump for Jaden Daniels. I need it. So yeah, running back position. Austin Eckler is penciled in as your running back 1. And I don't know why this is such a surprise to everyone. As you see this comment off to the right, why is broke neck Eckler RB1? First of all, we doing running back committee. Just because you're penciled in as running back 1 doesn't mean you're a legit running back 1. We don't have a legit running back 1. You know what a legit running back 1 is? It's Derrick Henry. It's Jahmyr Gibbs. It's Josh Jacobs. It's Bijan Robinson. Those are legit running back 1s. We do not have any of that in this room. So it's running back by committee. Whoever's hot at the moment is going to get the most carries. It wouldn't even surprise me if, even though Eck is penciled in as the number 1 running back, Chris Rodriguez takes the first carry of the game, or of the run of the season. The first handoff could be Chris Rodriguez for all we know. You know what I mean? So people's making a big deal about Eckler being 1 and Bill Ja'Cory Merritt being full, but it's no big deal. They're all gonna see the field. You know what I mean? And quite frankly, if I can be honest with you for a second, if there was a guy that I would want to be the RB1, if it had to come down to strictly being you're legit the RB1, it would be Austin Eckler. Why wouldn't it not be him? There's nobody else that I truly trust to be the RB1. I know we're hyped about Chris Rodriguez, but this is going to be the first time we see him in an extensive role of multiple times getting opportunities in games, not just in blowouts, not just in games where there's injuries. He's legitly going to get opportunities, but Austin Eckler has the veteran presence. He's a freaking beast. Why are we acting like Austin Eckler is just this scrub, bro? He was an all-pro specialist last year, special teams player last year, one of the better third down backs in the game, and can just quite frankly do it all. So again, don't make a big deal about the depth chart and the running back, you know, how they're ranked, because again, there's not a legit running back 1. If you genuinely think Austin Eckler is about to be getting 65% of the carries this year in the games, you're out of your mind. He didn't even want to do that last year. What makes you think he wants to do that again this year, especially after having the 2 concussions? So don't make that a big deal. But overall, offensively, not much of a surprise. It's what we truly expected. Then you go to defense. Defensive end, you got Dietrich Wise and Javonte Jean-Baptiste as your first defensive ends. Nothing surprising about that. Dietrich Wise came in over from New England, and he's a veteran that has been there, done that. So he's not surprised there to be your starting defensive end on that side. Deron Payne being your starting defensive tackle. Duh. This is the big year for D. Payne if he wants to get a contract extension, or if Washington's going to get out of that contract. It's a big year for D. Payne. Then backing him up is the savvy vet, the DC native, Eddie Goldman. Shout out to my guy, Protect Sports. That's his dog right there. They went to the same high school. Shout out to Eddie Goldman, of course. And then obviously, Big Kinlaw, who had a monster training camp in summer, and this dude again is probably going to be the guy that you look back on and say, Juan, I'm gonna be 100 with you, man. I was definitely a little side eyeing that Javon Kinlaw signing, but now I see why they did it, because he's a beast. I expect Javon Kinlaw to have a damn stellar season. I think he's gonna get off to a fast start. I think he do, especially with having this Russell Wilson led Giants offense that we know we need interior pressure from. If we want to be able to disrupt his day and have him have a long day, we're gonna need it. We're going to need it from Javon Kinlaw. So I think he's going to get off to a fast start. And obviously, stopping the run with Tyrone Tracy, Devon Singletary, he's going to be a big, intricate part as to how we succeed in stopping the run. And then going down, you have Dorrance Armstrong as your second defensive end, your second star defensive end on the other side. And again, not a surprise. They love Dorrance. Dorrance came on strong last season, especially in the postseason, late in the season. He was an absolute menace to be working with, and honestly, I like him starting over Jacob Martin. Think about it. Jacob Martin and Von Miller are the same guys. Now, obviously, Von Miller's a first ballot Hall of Fame, but what I mean by that is you want to see these guys come in on third down situations, on key pass situations, on plays in which you need sacks to get after the ball, four strip sacks, whatever may have you. You need a defensive end that's going to get some type of bend. These are the guys that you call a Von Miller, Jacob Martin. Of course, they're going to get other opportunities as well, but they're clearly here to rush the passer on key passing downs. You want Dietrich Wise out there. You want Dorrance Armstrong out there so they can be a threat on first through second down and sometimes third down if it's short when stopping the run. Remember, last year, Joe Witt had to put Deron Payne as an end because we were so thin out there with stopping the run. So overall, nothing too surprising there. And Von Miller is listed as an offensive linebacker, but we outside linebacker, but we know what he truly is. Then you got Bobby Wagner, Jordan McGee, Kane Madrano, and Frankie Louvu, Nick Ballou, Al Kaiho. Again, not a surprise whatsoever. A 5'8", I'm going to need something from you this year, Slim. They talk about how good you is. I talk about how good you is. I need something from you this year, Slim. I need you to go out there and hoop, Jordan McGee. I need it. But linebacker position, not a surprise. Getting down to the cornerback position, you got Marshawn Lattimore. Obviously, it's your first outside corner. Obviously, you got Deuce out there. He going to have a shake-back season. He going to shut all the critics up, backing him up. The savvy vet, the Super Bowl vet, Jonathan Jones. The pilot, Jonathan Jones, backing him up. Then your other outside corner, Trey, Rookie of the Year. I'm about to stamp it. I might even place a little parlay on that. You hear me? Trey about to go crazy this year. He's your other boundary corner. Had an absolute beast of a summer and training camp. All the media members rave about Trey Amos, so nothing surprising there as well. And then backing him up is Jonathan Jones too. And then you go down to Mikey Sanrastil as your starting slot corner. Duh, right? That's not a surprise whatsoever. And Noah Igbenogany as your backup cornerback. I really hope they don't trade Noah, but he could be a key trading piece at the deadline, especially if he gets into opportunities and show what he can do at times. Hopefully he doesn't have to see the field much, but when they go to those extra sets of 5, wide out empty sets and whatnot, maybe he has to sneak onto the field at some point. Who knows? But hopefully not. That way we can kind of hide Noah Igbenogany from the rest of the league. Then moving down to the safety position, your starter Will Hurst. Backing him up is Percy Butler and Tyler Owens. And then your starting free safety is Quan Martin. And backing him up is Jeremy Reeves. No surprise there. I'm super excited for Quan Martin and Will Hurst. I think this duo is going to be amazing. I think Quan Martin is going to ascend as he's been ascending all summer long. Obviously, Percy Butler, Tyler Owens, Jeremy Reeves. Your absolute beast of a special teams defense unit. So shout out to those fellas. And then your punter, Tressway, your kicker, Matt Gay, and your holder, Tressway, and your long snapper, Tyler Ott. Your kick returner, though, this is interesting. It's Deebo Samuel. How about that? I said Luke McCaffrey should be your starting kick returner just because I like to play it safe. I'm just worried about catching the ball. I can give a hell if you take it back to the crib. I don't care. We have a high-powered offense. Just catch the ball, get off the field healthy. That's all I care about for kick returns. But how about that? Deebo Samuel, your starting kick returner. Now, obviously, on the other side, it's going to be Luke McCaffrey. So it may be times where rather the kicker kicks it to Deebo or kicks it to Luke McCaffrey. These guys are both going to be back there. But, man, I didn't think they would put Deebo back there. Again, I've always subscribed to the notion that some of your best players are too valuable to be on kick return and punt return because you don't want them to get injured on plays like that. But at the end of the day, man, it's football. And I've kind of come around to that, man. Let them guys play, especially if you need a spark offensively. How great would it be for Deebo to set the tone with a beast of a kick return something like that. Remember last year, home opener versus the Giants, we had a kick return. But they called it back with Austin Eckler. So maybe he can set the tone with a decent kick return, play, or even as far as taking it to the crib. But Deebo Samuel's your starting kick returner. And then your starting punt returner, obviously, Jalen Lane. And I cannot wait to see what he does with his first punt return. As bad as I want to start offensively with the ball, I hope the defense gets the ball, gets out there first. I'm going to be live there. Hopefully you are too, to see the fellas. Use promo code juangotti to get 10% off your purchase at checkout on SeatGeek. But I hope Jalen Lane gets an opportunity to show what he can do a lot of times this game, because I think he's going to break one this year. I don't know if it's going to be week 1, but he's going to break one this year. It's going to be lit. There you have it. The Washington Commanders official depth chart is in, and there are a few surprising / shocking moves, but for the most part, it's what we expected. So let me know what you guys think about it down below in the comment section. What's your reaction to it? Make sure you like, comment, subscribe to the channel. On the road to 11,000 subscribers. We greatly appreciate it if you can reach that goal as soon as possible. Thank you so much. Y'all have a blessed one. Stay safe. Be easy out there. Peace.
Ballin' like I'm Deshaun, throw the bomb, G. That's IG, my jersey never seen a lawn.